Goeiedag, mijn naam is Edwin, ik ben immigratieprocureur hier in Amerika en ik wil jou helpen om immigratiewet te verstaan. Now, welcome back to a continued video series of attempting to expose Julius Malema and the pending, if not already occurring, genocide against Afrikaners and other ethnic minorities inside Africa. And remember, if you are one of my viewers who is currently inside Africa, this video, I understand this video series, you know what's going on, you understand that. So this is really to help my American viewers really understand that we are within stage 8 of the 10 stages of genocide, that there is a political party, a major political party within South Africa, whose leaders have influence and control, that is outright calling for the murder of Afrikaners, other people of white European descent, and other minorities within South Africa. So, even though you're aware of this, please remember to like, subscribe, share. It helps the algorithm, helps push this out, and it will help people in America here better understand the plight of the Afrikaners and other ethnic minorities in the failed state of South Africa. So if you're not a channel member, please consider becoming one. It really helps my mission here and what I'm doing. And thank you as always. So remember to like, subscribe, share, and comment for the algorithm and help push this video along. So I saw in the news this morning, and it only came out in 2 different sources that I found, that AfriForum has actually submitted a dossier on Malema to the Trump administration. And I think this is huge for 2 reasons. And again, many of my viewers out there, you know that I'm an immigration attorney, and I'm doing what I can to help Afrikaners who are going through the refugee program and Afrikaners who are here attempting to go through asylum. But I've made it clear many times that I believe that there should be an Afrikaner state within South Africa, and that the United States needs to support that, whether it be in the same vein or idea, something like Orania or a Volksstaat binnen South Africa. And many of the people who are going through the refugee program or here in asylum have told me many times, Professor G, that can't happen. I understand that. That's not to argue over. That's not here nor there. I'm merely saying that I believe that is something the United States should be pushing for, on top of accepting refugees and asylees, that will here to come. And I think that's very important. So just to understand that I support AfriForum, I support Orania, I support all of these groups. I've reached out to many of them and said, how do I help support what you're doing here in the United States while also supporting those who feel their only option is to flee? So I understand there's 2 competing factions within the Afrikaner community. I'm not here to sow any division between them, but merely to help both and support both. So that needs to be understood. Now, I think this is important for giving this dossier to President Trump because it again keeps in the news the persecution of Afrikaners inside Africa, and the fact that, again, there is a major political party pushing for this, pushing for genocide inside Africa. And I have the dossier. I downloaded it from AfriForum's website, and I'm going to make a series of videos going through all of this, the hate speech, the rhetoric, again, to expose Malema and the EFF. And what my American viewers need to understand, if you just search EFF, who, again, I will state openly are a bunch of cowards and racists, communist cowards and racists, and even, it's funny to say perverted communist, because to even pervert a system of communism, which is so horrible on its face, is really an accomplishment. They've managed to turn the idea of a commune into a racial commune. But one of the things my American viewers need to understand is that even though you'll hear that, Malema and the EFF are not a major party, which is wrong. They have over a million members growing. They have 30 plus, I believe it's 39 or 38, I'll have to double check, can't remember off the top of my head, but I posted it in previous videos, seats in the National Assembly, the equivalent of the Parliament. That is a major political party. And also the ANC has always said that they would welcome them back, has always been in bedfellows with this. They don't have enough spine to even say the same stuff that the EFF says, but that's for another video. But what American viewers don't understand is if you search EFF, you'll see many people in South Africa say they have trouble breaking, this percentage mark, or they're not a serious major political player. Americans hear that, and they then dismiss Malema and the EFF as a minor political party. But the United States is not a parliamentary democracy. So when you hear the expression minor political party here, a lot of people might think, oh, the Libertarian Party, which has millions of members. I'm a member of the Libertarian Party. I don't mind telling my viewers that. But will never have a seat in national government just because of how this is a two-party system. However, in parliamentary democracies, even small parties with only 30-something seats or small percentages can still have a major impact, because if no one party gets a majority of the parliamentary seats, then these parties have to form coalitions. Meaning, in order to get anything done, or in order to even form a government, one party that has the most seats, but not a majority, will reach out to other parties and say, come get with us and let's form a ruling coalition so this government can function. So this is what happened with the Nazi Party in Nazi Germany. A small party that eventually grew and was able to, through its influence and rising power, coalesce with other groups in the government and eventually take charge. So the fact that Malema, and I've talked about this, regardless of whether or not you have data, and you look at the stats, say the EFF never gets past a certain point, percentage politically. The fact that the ruling government, the ruling coalition, and the court systems fails to condemn not this hate speech. Hate speech I'm fine with. You want to be a racist bigot, go be a racist bigot. But it's threats. Threatening speech should never and can never be protected. And not in the United States or not anywhere. So allowing him to get away with this is pulling moderates and pulling people and even extremists who back years ago might have said, well, I'm free to do whatever I want, but I'm not free from the consequences. Now that they know they're free from consequences of threatening speech and murdering Afrikaners and other minorities inside Africa, that it is going to encourage more people to do the same. So that is very dangerous. And that's what American viewers have to understand with this idea of a parliamentary government. The other thing is, the important thing of AfriForum's bringing this to the president's attention is, again, it keeps in the media, in the government's sight, the atrocities going on inside Africa, but also it's going to compel the United States to do something. Now, I am an advocate of state sovereignty, meaning South Africa is a sovereign independent state. It can do what it wants. But again, doing what you want doesn't mean that you're free from the consequences of those actions. South Africa has supported terrorist groups like Hamas. It has brought U.S. allies like Israel to the International Court of Justice, which is just as neutered and ineffective and useless as the United Nations right now. And you should go watch Trump's speech to the United Nations because it was epic, laying down the law that we're the United States and you are good for nothing as the United Nations. You've done nothing to help end wars, etc., whatever. You've supported terrorism, you've supported illegal immigration into our country, all of that. But all of that being said, South Africa can do what it wants with Malema. But the United States right now, as the most powerful country in the history of the world, as the most powerful empire the world has ever seen, can also do what we want. And this might encourage, which I hope it does, more sanctions against South Africa, more pressure for the government of South Africa to jail Malema, to put him on trial, to put him in prison for his threatening speech and calls for genocide. Then we can argue about the future of Afrikaners binnen South Africa once the government has become what it should be, protecting of all of its citizens. But again, I argue for an Afrikaner state, an independent state of its own, where Afrikaners can have their culture, their heritage, and govern themselves in South Africa, because their future in South Africa is no longer safe. It's not protected by this failed state, this failed government. And as an American, that's what I'm pushing my government to do. Now, I'm not anyone special. I'm a small fish on YouTube. I'm just an attorney and a law professor, but I am in a signal chat with my congressman. So all of us regular citizens do have the ear of our government. And by doing this, the United States can now have more ammunition to do things against South Africa, the regering van South Africa, and force their hand to do something. Yeah, South Africa has sovereignty. Its corrupt and useless government can do whatever it wants. It can allow Malema, the EFF, and other racists to just tear through the political system and demand for the killing of Afrikaners and other minorities in South Africa. But it also needs to be prepared for the consequences of the largest country and the most powerful country, the most powerful empire the world has ever known, doing something about it. So I just wanted to make this quick video today to point out that, the AfriForum bringing this to the Trump administration is a good sign. It is a good thing. It is good for both Afrikaners who want to stay in South Africa, and it is good for Afrikaners who want to take advantage of the refugee program and or those who are here seeking asylum, because again, it continues to point a spotlight on the persecution of Afrikaners, the pending genocide of Afrikaners, the government's acquiescence into this, the government's willingness to allow for genocide of an ethnic group inside Africa. And, it just needs to be said that, again, I've only seen this on AfriForum's website and on one news site from Africa. I forget which one it was, but I'll put the link in the description if I can find it again before I post this video. But it is a good thing to continue to keep our government appraised of this. So I will be going through the dossier on this channel. I will be making the video again for Afrikaners and other people who are still inside Africa. I know you know this, but you help me, you support me by liking the video, sharing the video, becoming a member, by commenting, even simple comments. Put your experiences with the EFF in the comments of these videos. It will help continue to expose that and pass this on also. It'll help pass it on to Americans who don't really understand the true scope of the persecution and pending genocide that's going on inside Africa. So as always, like, subscribe, share, and I'll see you for the next video.